All right, you guys. So, welcome to average rate of change. So, we're going to be spending a couple of days on this topic, and that is just to make sure that we really have a strong grasp on what is happening with this topic. And it's just because average rate of change is so important. Okay. Now, you secretly already know what average rate of change is. Okay. It is slope. Okay. The average rate of change is slope. Okay. So when I'm looking at this particular example from this table and it says find the average rate of change, they want to know how is the x values changing from 0 to 10 and how is that affecting the y values. So if I just recopy the table and then after this you may not even need to recopy the table. So x and then I have f of x and remember that was y, okay? If you remember from our previous videos that was y. Okay. All right, I've got 0, 10, 20. Oops, messed that up. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. All right, and then I have 16, 28, 40, 52, 64, and 76. Okay. All right. Now it says, given the function defined in the table below, find the average rate of change in simplest form of the function over the interval from 0 to 40. Okay. So that means for whatever reason, they don't want us to look past this point. And it may be because when I get to this point, the graph is going to change. So what do I mean by that? Maybe from 0 to 40, okay, I've got a straight line, but then once I get 50, I get to 50, I start to create a curve. Okay. And the picture takes on a new shape. Okay. So we just, for our purposes, they just don't want us to look at this one. So fine. Okay. All right. So now as I go from 0 to 10, okay, that's obviously a plus 10. 10 to 20, that's plus 10. That is plus 10. And from 30 to 40, that's plus 10. Okay. One, that's a good sign. Okay. That means it's progressing up. Okay. In a similar fashion. Now, what I want to have happen here is I want my values to increase with the same idea. Okay. So I want to know that it's plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, that the numbers I write down in pink over here are the same. Okay. Because then that means I can find an average rate of change. Okay. All right, so from 16 to 28, okay, that is plus 12. I have to add 12 to get from 16 to 28. From 28 to 40, I have to add 12. From 40 to 52, I have to add 12. So do you see how I'm adding the same number similar to how I was in X? All right, and then from 52 to 64, again, I'm adding 12. Okay, so how does that translate to my answer? Okay, well, if I told you that I've already told you it was slope, okay, remember the slope formula, this is where everything just kind of all starts to tie together. Remember, your slope formula was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, that is, and if I use a triangle to represent change, that's the change in y over the change in x. Well, right now, I know what the change is. The change is 12, all right? And then my change in x is 10, okay? So my average rate of change is 12 over 10. And if I divide both of those by 2, that would be 6 over 5. So then I just go over here, 6 divided by 5, submit my answer, and there we go. Okay. Now you can see actually how he did it. Okay. He did it in a little bit different fashion, but there's nothing wrong. Okay. He took the first part of the interval 0 to the last interval. So he took 0, 16 and 40, 64, and he actually used the slope formula. There's nothing wrong with that. I could have done the same thing. I could have picked 2 points and any 2 points between 0 and 40, done my slope formula, and gotten the average rate of change, okay? So there's lots of different ways we can do this, okay? All right, let's try another one. All right, it says given the function defined in the table below, find the average rate of change in simplest form of the function over the interval from 5 to 6, okay? All right, so let me put example here. So let me just write down the part of the table that we're worried about. So x, f of x. So we're only looking at 5 to 6. So 10 to 6. Okay. All right. Well, I can do this both ways. Okay. I can say, all right, to get from 5 to 6, I have to add 1. And to get from 10 to 6, I have to subtract 4. Okay. So that means my slope, which is the change in y over the change in x, is -4 over 1. So my final answer is -4. Okay, but let's look at the slope formula. So m equals, okay, 6 minus 10 over 6 minus 5. -4 over 1. I get the same answer. Okay, so I have multiple ways. Okay, so I have multiple ways of trying to figure out what my average rate of change is. Okay. So -4, submit my answer, yes. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the interval. Okay. You got to make sure you use the appropriate interval because, like I said, the picture could change shape. Okay. And until you plot these on a graph, you don't know if it's going to change its shape. So they are wanting to focus on an interval. Okay. That has a slope, which is linear. Okay, to get this average rate of change, okay? If you have any questions, let me know, but I think you've got it to get through this section of your Delta Math assignment. Good luck.